Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This video here is another one of our safety videos. We're going to be talking about the table saw in this video, how it works, the safety procedures behind it, and we'll actually do a couple cuts on it, and these will be the same cuts you guys will be doing when you're making your scrap tray as well. Okay, so first off, this table saw over here, we normally use this one when we are ripping our wood. So ripping our wood means we're going with the grain. They're going to be longer, more narrow cuts. That table saw over there has the miter sled on it. That one we use for cross cutting. We're going to be cutting across the grain. Okay. Again, we'll show you both cuts in this video and in person. But before we get into that, let's take a look at the table saw and make sure we know where all the parts are. So first off, the table saw on-off switch is right here. When you turn it on, these lights are going to blink. The table saw will not work until the red light is no longer there and not blinking. Sometimes it takes a few seconds for it to happen to stop blinking. To turn the saw on, you're going to pull out on this stop button right here, or stop lever. That turns it on. You push it in to turn it off. Okay? As you can see here, it is blinking green. Again, I will not be able to turn it back on until this becomes a solid green. With our table saw, remember these are very safe. They have a brake on the inside of them that is a sensor. The sensor will be tripped if the circuit is completed. So if our finger touches the blade, it completes the circuit, which sends the brake up into the saw blade, bringing the saw blade down into the machine. We do not want to do that, but I want to let you guys know it is very safe. If you touch the blade, it will actually turn the light on. So the machine knows that something is touching the blade that should not be touching the blade. Okay? When we are working with the table saws, there should be only one person controlling the controls and feeding the lumber through. So if I was here and Mr. Singer was here, maybe Mr. Singer could be pushing the lumber through, and I could be helping on this side, grabbing the wood, but I would only want one person on this side feeding the lumber through. Okay? Our fence is this right here. This you are able to move and set whatever measurement that you desire. So if I wanted 4 inches, which we are going to be cutting something to 4 inches in a moment, I go right there, tap in place, get it nice, and right on there, and then I push down on the fence lock. This is called the fence lock. Okay? Next couple things when we're looking at the table saw, I want you guys to keep in mind. One, our blade should never be more than about 1/8 of an inch over the top of the wood. So this is too high. This is probably about a 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch over the top of our stock. So what we need to do is we need to lower this. Down here we have 2 wheels. This wheel here is the table or blade height hand wheel, excuse me. For it to work, there is this black locking wheel right here. You're going to loosen that. And then you're going to just go down on our blade, or on our wheels, until the blade is just over the top of our stock. Then I can go ahead and tighten that back up. The other wheel over here is the blade tilt hand wheel. So we can tilt our blade one way or the other. We can show you that one in class when the time comes. So what I'm going to be doing right now is, again, I'm going to be ripping wood, so I'm going to be going with the grain. If I want, I can use a push stick. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the machine on, and I'm going to feed the wood through the blade. Okay? And before I get started, I want to make sure that I'm being safe, so I'm going to take off my wedding ring and my watch. I'm going to set them over. I have closed-toed shoes on. I have short sleeves. I don't have nice long hair, so I don't need to worry about putting that up. Okay? So let's go ahead and cut this. I'm going to turn the machine on, let it get up to full speed, and then I'm going to start pushing my stock through the blade. Now I'm not forcing it, and I'm keeping close eyes on where my hands and fingers are at all times. Okay, there we go. So now we just cut our wood to a 4-inch So we're going to then take this over to the miter sled. We're going to cut this to 6 inches as well. So come on over to the miter saw, or the miter sled, excuse me. And as you guys can see here, this is already set up for you. When you are cutting using the miter sled, you're going to be pushing this entire sled forward. You're not going to push the wood forward. The wood stays here, close to the, flush to the rulers and the fence, and this gets pushed forward, which I'm going to show you in a moment. Our sled has some red paint on it to say, hey, watch where your hands are, the blade, you're getting close to the blade, so make sure you keep that in mind. It has a piece of plexiglass that goes over the top, so if anything were to jump up at you, this is nice and safe, okay? So let's go ahead and cut our base piece for our tray. So the base piece for our tray needs to be 4 inches by 6 inches. We just ripped it, remember, with the grain ripping to 4 inches. Now we're going to cross cut, or cut across the grain to 6 inches. So I can use my rulers that are right on the sled. Here's my 6-inch mark. It looks like 9 inches because it's upside down, but this is the 6-inch mark. I'm going to go ahead and put my wood right up to the line. Now this is the next important part when you're using the miter sled, your hand placement. My hands are going to go around the red part right here. It's almost like a little handle. And then my fingertips just go on the top of my wood. Okay? And then, like I said, we're just going to push the sled forward. So let's go ahead and do that. Fingertips on top of the wood. I'm going to push forward. And I'm going to bring it back. Okay? Now, one thing I should have done before I cut is I should have checked to make sure that my blade height was at the correct height. I just forgot to do that. And it's a little bit high. But the important thing is we never are going to make any blade adjustments when the saw is running. You always wait for the saw to be off and the blade to be at a complete stop. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this and get that to the right height and lock that in place, and that's good. All right. So that is the table saw safety video. If you guys have any questions or would like something explained to you guys again, please come find Mr. Singer or myself.